It's a different kind of LARP that we've been dreaming of. It's a different kind of LARP. In hindsight, I probably should have told you all about the different kinds of LARPs in the first place. And because this is the only guide to LARP on the internet, you folks probably think combat-heavy sword and sorcery stuff is the only thing on the market. Sure, I've made mention to other kinds of LARPs like model UNs and the like, but because they're only passing mentions, I'm sure you've dismissed them all as unimportant by now. Well, I'm here to enlighten you all and open your eyes to the other possibilities that exists. So get ready, because I'm going to show you how to LARP. Just so your brain doesn't explode and I don't get sued for exploding your skulls, let's start with fantasy LARPs. For the most part, you'll have people running around with swords, bows, and magic wands, throwing around great balls of foam at each other, pretending they're using spells. However, every LARP, even their individual genres, can be divided up into a million different ways. Broadly speaking, some LARPs are more roleplay oriented in terms of how magic works. In some of those systems, if you act out a spell enough, the people receiving the effects of said spell will behave differently. Saying, "I cast Fireball," and throwing a beanbag at a guy in armor, he'll probably just say, "Ow!" and proceed to murder your magical ass. Instead of doing that, you can also say,
"Through the powers of the nine hells, I summon the fiery, unquenching wrath of the Quasalis demon hordes itself to burn away your life and soul,"
while waving your hands around, and the other guy will probably scream in pain as they pretend their entire world is on fire. Either that, or they'll just proceed to murder your magical ass while it takes you 2 hours to actually cast that spell. Some LARPs tell you not to grab the other people's stuff, shield bash, or go for the face, since these actions might lead to actual injury or the breaking of $100 equipment. Seriously, why the hell is foam so freaking expensive? Anyways, in the more hardcore LARPs, you're allowed to disarm enemies, shield bash, and go for the face, but they're still LARPing, and for the most part using foam weapons too. These specific kind of LARPers are one step short of HEMA players. Does that mean softer, less hardcore LARPs are bad? Of course not. People in those LARPs keep the health insurance premiums down and usually have less cases of their $100 foam swords breaking. Seriously, why the hell are they so fucking expensive? Then you have sci-fi LARPs, military LARPs, and historical LARPs, to name a few, most of which use toy guns of some sort. Just like costumes and kit, they don't like calling them toy guns because it makes them sound like children, and instead usually call them something else like, blasters. Pew pew! Then you have people who live in a modern hell where food is hard to come by, safety is a foreign concept, and the collapse of society is either imminent or already happening. Anyways, enough about real life, let's talk about the post-apocalyptic genre. Maybe a nuke went off, maybe there's a big oil war, or maybe the world's supply of jello shots went missing, I don't know. Point is, you can wear what you're wearing right now to these kinds of LARPs. Just slap on some dirt, rip up some fabric, and stop washing for a few months. Okay, that's actually a bad idea. Having something look dirty is fine and all, but you should actually make sure it's hygienic. Just because you don't get sick from dried sweat stains doesn't mean your friend can't. Think of them and adjust accordingly. Some LARPs rely more on mechanical systems in that players literally shout out how much damage they're doing, while others depend solely on dodging and hitting as their only skills. Some LARPs focus on the objective and doing everything you can to win the fight, focusing on raw numbers to do it, while others take a more laid-back, story-driven approach. Some LARPs are more open, with player-driven stories, while others have a stricter controlled narrative that is controlled by a single person or a small group. Then you have parlor LARPs, model UNs, and arguably murder mysteries, where everybody just sits around and just talks. Those sorts of games revolve around diplomacy, politics, and general social interactions, which sounds really boring to me. I mean, seriously, who'd want to roleplay that way and not move around? Now, if you excuse me, I have an important D&D game to play with some friends. Congratulations, now you know about the different kinds of LARPs.